can we just assume they can? Okay. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good moments, as an old friend of mine would say. I don't have much to say. I think the team will have updates on what they're working on. There's very interesting things on the educational front that I introduced 2 weeks ago. Perhaps Marvin could have something to share after our conversation, some developments in relation to Cherish. Diego has some cool announcements in relation to Seedling. I'll try to keep what I have to say brief. I wanted to comment on a few things I've seen amongst the widespread negativity, discomfort in our chats, some insightful messages. Now, though it may not be proper to address those individually in this format, I'm glad to see community that hasn't lost its vision, that hasn't lost the sight of the objective of our community, of our project. I'll try to, there are a few things, some in relation to security. I'd like to comment perhaps about that, especially in volatile times, when things, especially volatile in the downturn. Scammers get pretty creative. We were compromised somehow by social engineering about a week and a half ago. A few significant allocations of the trade tokens were compromised and sold over the course of the past few months. And there's easy solutions to this, such as not trusting what people say on the internet, verification, keeping your private keys safe, and trying your best to either use official resources or connecting to unofficial resources or connecting to services with your wallets, sporadically and in a targeted way, such as not all your money is at risk. But I think we'll elaborate more on this, perhaps give some more practical suggestions as well as instructing on the sorts of scams and countermeasures, both in a blog that we're putting together and in the educational section in our educational work that Owen will talk about later. This fits in a broader theme of observing the market. Though we can't participate in the market, there's reasons why. I'm sure, and I've seen this point raised a lot. You'd like to see the price go higher. You'd like to see certain actions taken by the team to guarantee that your investment is secured and so forth. We don't really wage that, we don't bear that responsibility. I'll try to phrase it as mildly as I can. We are we're market players as anyone else. We can announce things, and we can certainly do much better at not only transparently relaying what we're working on. I think we do have great resources for that. We have our project diary that gets updated pretty regularly. We have our blog, we have our newsletter, we have our website that's now getting updated quite soon. We have our new forum that I've seen people use more and more. So we do have these channels, but of course we can do better of framing these updates in terms that are more compatible with influencing market sentiment. Aside from that, devoting budgets or adjusting strategy in relation to short-term market advances is not proper. First of all, because it's temporary. First of all, because it's not something that is as permanent as devoting budgets on the development of new features of the Cherry network, for example, or time in the doing the work that could produce a bit more significant outputs than just talking about the possibility of them being done, of this work being done. That's one reason. And the other reason is that that's not our job. There's other projects whose main product is hype, and they're very able to influence the market, to participate in trading activity, to advance their product, which is garnering short-term interest and increasing their products, whatever it may be, hype. That's a fine way of going about this. I cast no judgments, certainly publicly, though privately I do prefer one way of doing it, of carrying out work, especially in this industry, over others. Though while we don't have and cast judgment on what's better or worse, we are quite firm in our decision that what our product is portrayed by our vision. It's the fulfillment of a vision, and it's practically expressed in engineering features based on the principles of the Cherry chain, and as a supplement of these features. So, to reiterate, Cherry has immense promise, as I see it. There's nothing like it, even 2 years after we initially conceived of the idea. There's others that do components of Cherry very well. There's Ethereum, and there's the whole strand of layer one virtual machine decentralized platforms that do their job superbly. There's others that with various permutation of this objective, with parachains, with side chains, with layer twos. We fit handsomely within this competitive landscape, but what most lack is a connection between that, which does hold immense promise. I'm sure if you're familiar with Cherry, you're familiar with the whole philosophy behind Web3 and why it, as an architecture model, is superior to previous forms of connecting to the internet, interacting with services. The trustlessness makes users essentially independent from the providers of these services, freeing up interactions from the need of trust, for example. And expanding Web3 with storage. If that's not sufficient, if there's others that market deems more favorably, there's not much we can do about it. I have these beliefs. I'm sure many listening here share these beliefs. But I don't see any of the team's role that of persuading an unspoken counterparts, a market participant, that what we're building has value. I think we've also demonstrated that it's not just what we're building has value. Our ability to execute is pretty fine. We've gone from idea to market in a year, and from market to testnet, then month and a half, and from testnet to mainnet in another 3 months. These are at the level of our engineering I'd say, excellent metrics, especially compared to certainly the counterparts at our same level, so in similar market cap ranges, but also, I've said this before, 10 times larger, 50 times larger. I think we compare very favorably with those who perhaps, and most of them, engineer lesser products, in all frankness, and do so, I would say, worse than we do in terms of speed and quality. So, considering all this, which are mostly personal considerations, I do like to underscore and take a moment and thank those who, in spite of them losing a whole bunch of money, in spite of the widespread negativity that now plagues our public channels, are constant in their resolve of pursuing this vision with us, and endure the market, and perhaps actively help in overcoming these hurdles and making our vision, or driving our project closer to realizing our vision. This is a time when the Cherish stars shine brightest. You know who you are. You know what types of these actions I refer to. I don't need to shout out names or describe what should be done or instead of screaming at our moderators, but just recognize that you are in our minds, and we thank you for your support. Owen?
Sorry, I just wasn't able to unmute my mic there. Am I muted now? No, I should be okay. That was great, Herman. Thank you very much. Very insightful as always. I think it's what a lot of people would have wanted to, and would also needed to hear. That I can't emphasize enough how internally in the team we're very serious and in touch with the results of market downturns. In that, the people that we consider valued community members, indeed our friends. I mean, I've met quite a few of you. I've certainly spoken to a lot of you through thick and thin, and established a good relationship with you personally, as has Herman and Diego and Marvin and John and Paul and everyone else on the team. And we like to see, we do value our community, especially the stars of the community, as Herman put it. And we really do appreciate you. And we don't like when, for example, we hear that you get scammed. We really don't like that. That's the kind of thing that we get really worried about. This happened in the middle of the night a few weeks back, that someone, unfortunately, through a poor decision on their part, was, their funds were stolen by, some reprobate thief. And that really made everyone who heard about it in the team feel genuinely bad. We felt that this saddened us. And we do value you guys, especially, as I said, not just the people who are very vocal and contribute a lot, but some of the people who aren't as vocal, maybe people who are a bit more shy, maybe people whose English doesn't allow them to engage quite as much as they'd like. We value you guys as well, and we want to see you do well. And that's the whole point of our take on Web3. And that's what Herman was getting at. That we do value you guys. However, we can't just focus on hype. We can't just throw money at the market or marketing or things like that, or do things to inflate the price, because A, it's short term, as Herman said, and B, in many cases it doesn't work, and C, and most importantly, is that we are very positive. Behind the scenes, we're still very optimistic. The morale is very high because we keep reaching our goals on a daily basis. Work is just crazy in Cherry. We have so much to do. There are so many opportunities throughout the day. Everything goes well. I mean, I don't think I've worked with a team where we just keep knocking down short-term and long-term targets in such an efficient and fast way, and it's very breakneck speed. The as Herman said, to bring a product to market and market it successfully in such a short period. So I think that that was a very constructive and worthwhile update from Herman there. We also have in this AMA, as I mentioned, on the announcement channels, we have some very cool things to talk about, especially this week. First of all, because Herman's, I'm sure he has other commitments, I'm going to briefly go through the questions, some of the questions for Herman. So, Drew asked, he said, I'd love to hear on an AMA what actions, thoughts you guys have on this topic, and what he was referring to was security, etc. I think Herman has kind of covered some of that. He's also mentioned that these things will be referred to, or sorry, dealt with in a blog post and in our educational initiative that we're launching. I'm just going to very, very quickly search for the other part of Drew's question because it was a good one. I just saved the wrong part, basically. Okay, so Herman, this is an interesting one. It's more of a blue sky question. Drew asked us yesterday, how will we being the Web3 world, get mass adoption when there's still tons of theft, i.e. nomad? That's my biggest concern, and really I hope it's not just Cherry, but all of us take this seriously. Herman, do you have any kind of like brief kind of strategic or high level thoughts about the level of what is essentially theft and security compromises in the Web3 niche? And if there's anything in particular that you could share about what should be done and what Cherry is doing in our case.
There's many answers. It's a difficult question. That's why I identified that as an excellent question, excellent initiative to bring awareness within our community to increase security as well as our measures. So bottom up and top down. The main approaches are, what can you do on a user level to secure your funds, to interact with these systems that are experimental. They are trustless to the point that you rely perhaps in excess, that these systems rely in excess to one's ability to interact with them properly. Because as you all know, if you send Bitcoin to a wrong address, there's nothing you can do, and it's nobody's fault but your own. So we will have, I guess, one or a few blogs within our university streak, our Trade Labs Learning Initiative, where we share some common practice ideas. Cryptography has been around for a very long time. All this falls in line with computer hygiene. So there's some insights that we just know as we interact with these systems for a very long time, and we can convey so that you can just improve how you interact with these systems. Yeah, it is a shame that one of our users lost a whole bunch of money. And since I think there's been a pretty significant uptick in how much each of our, or most of our active community members have been targeted with phishing attempts. People pretending to be me or somebody else, calling them, texting them, asking for funds, sometimes in quite sophisticated ways. I've just received a message as Owen was talking with a new type of scam. It's a guy posing. We've had plenty of people posing as counter exchanges and so forth, other partnerships. But this scam in particular is probably a team pretending to be part of a venture capital disguising their identities with email, header removal, and so forth to look like it, requesting the purchase of a whole bunch of cherry tokens. And once I send them to them, they're likely gonna never, they're gonna not pay me anything, pay the firm anything in exchange, and sell it immediately on the market. There's many types of theft. There's very sophisticated theft. There's also general poor usage of these systems. There's one vulnerability that's been exploited either yesterday or today with Solana. One of their main wallet systems was somehow compromised, and 7,000 users lost a whole bunch of money. I think I can't give you any specific pointer now. It may be, I could just go on and on about just listing them, but we do care about instructing users in their interaction with the system, especially when so much responsibility does currently rely on them. And we'll try to do that in our learning format. On the top-down side, what we are doing to secure the system, what we as developers should do when we develop products in respect to how users should secure their interactions with what we develop. There's many ways. I was just talking with Marvin about how Cherish could adopt other sorts of authentication systems, certainly not the MetaMask route, which seems pretty reductive. The amount of people who would be able to use MetaMask for a login, albeit not the ideal solution, but certainly better solution than using the same old email and password format that has been disproven and proven a terrible choice for security over and over. Short of MetaMask, there's many ways we could improve how authorization works to systems. We certainly are mindful in our core development of making interfaces as clear as possible. Clarity is also generally a good rule of thumb. We deal with very complex topics, and we often tend to discard how they're manifested to people who haven't been working on them nonstop for 2 years. But we do have a pretty good review team that keeps us in line with perfecting user experience, and also in regards to security. I have other tidbits. Top-down wise, there's some design choices that I won't bore you with, specific to Cherry, about how we encrypt data, how this data is redundantly stored, and the whole trustless process of it all. I won't bore you with that. Perhaps I'll cite it as an example of, I think, ideal architecture in terms of top-down security. But I think I've been going on too long about this. It is pretty sensible topic, since many have been scammed and compromised in the past few weeks. But most of what I said and much more will be more eloquently stated in a blog that we're also composing, in addition to the learn section that will just provide targeted, objective suggestions on how to improve your operational security as you interact with these systems.
Thank you, Herman. It was pretty comprehensive. I have another couple of questions. Ortiguita asked when we'll be able to buy the merchandising. That is something we're kind of thinking about, probably sooner rather than later. But we're we did one run for people that were at events and team members and stuff of the merchandise, and we're going to look now at getting a bigger run done, a bigger print run, so that more people can take part and get their hands on them. So I would say it's in a matter of a few weeks, I would say. So I'd say by September you'll be able to buy the Cherry merch. I'm sitting here in very sunny Amsterdam, getting my pale Irish skin burnt, but I'm in the cherry t-shirt, and it's really nice. And a bunch of people have said to me, "Hey, that looks good. What's going on? What's that cherry.network thing?" Um, so yeah, it's they'll be well worth purchasing. We'll also be giving a bunch of them away. So I would say maybe late September. We might have them by then. If not, it'll be sometime shortly thereafter. So we'll be they'll be part of kind of giveaways and prizes as well. So you may not have to buy one. We may be able to send one out to you. Herman, last question for you, which is when staking with Seedling, do we still own our share, or do we delegate and or lend them? And that was from Danny.
So what Seedling does, and I've asked them multiple times, I think they're finally, I don't know, supplementing their website with some of this information, but I'd like them to be a bit more upfront with how their process works directly with our audience. What they do, very basically, is they collateralize your stake, which is deposited within a smart contract that's an audit and so forth. They collateralize that for a stake of tokens in the network, so it doesn't directly bridge. It's more as a lateral system via our interoperability channels. They then, at intervals, not quite immediately, but with some delay, delegate or add to the bond that's already present to their own validator, and then validates that Cherry token stake, earning staking rewards. That's as easy as I can make it. There's no other derivative going on, but for the sort of synthetic bridging between their smart contract, in which you've deposited tokens, and from which you can at any time withdraw it, and their validator wallet that's actively staking validated blocks on our mainnet.
Thank you, Herman. The next question was, bear with me 1 second, guys. What was it again? Whoa. Sorry about that. Okay, that's all the questions for Herman. There's a couple more, but they kind of need to be a bit better clarified. How can we help to promote Cherry to a wider audience? And the answer, that's a very appropriate question, because the Hype Squad is getting a new lease of life this week, as of basically yesterday. We've already done some good things. Ambassadors, which, as I said before, will be expanded. The ambassador program will be expanded quite quickly, and will be taking a leading role in that, and basically join the Hype Squad. And every day there's going to be some easy stuff for us to do. It's easy in terms of it doesn't take much time or effort, and certainly no resources, but we still value your skills. We have really, really insightful and educated and savvy people in our community that we learn from every day on the team, and you guys can absolutely help really push the project forward. I think we have over 200 people in the Hype Squad now, and that's a big, we can make an impact. We can really spread the word, and we're looking for it, especially within the Hype Squad itself, in that group. Maybe someone could post the link to it in the chat now, please, if you can. Join it, and then from there, the ambassadors will be like a way for you to interface with the team, or we'll just answer questions right there. And we're just gonna basically look to see how we can all put our heads together and really push the message of Cherry to where it needs to be, but in interesting ways. That's the thing we're looking for. We're looking for people to help growth hack Cherry, and we always have as well rewards and stuff like that as well, which we're going to ramp up a little bit. Join the Hype Squad. It's good, and there's a lot of high IQ people in there, and we will be able to push Cherry forward. We're going to dedicate more of our time to that John is going to help direct this. So you can DM John with ideas anytime, day or night, and he has to talk to you, has to respond to you at some point. So yeah, that's the answer to that question. That's all the questions for now. There will be other ones that I'm sure that are coming through during the course of the chat. I'm going to right now jump into the thing that I've been excited to tell you about. I'm going to move on it quite quickly. We don't have, I was going to do graphics for it to explain this to you through a slide format, but I didn't want to bother in case, because things are changing on this all the time. So I just want to give you the freshest info as we have it now. Okay, so if you want to be an informed, educated investor, or if you want to be someone who works in crypto, or if you just like to be intelligent about your own investment, or just like the world in general, or you're excited about Web3 and where it's going, then there are two problems. First of all, there's a general lack of information on the internet that is really, really digestible and easy. Whereas if you were trying to find out about the French Revolution or traditional financial economics, it would be much easier to get this. You know, there's university courses about it, basically. We have what we think in the pipeline, and it's in the short-term pipeline in a matter of a couple of weeks. Indeed, the first iteration of this will be launched within days, even hopefully, I would say by the end of next week. An initiative that will be, what I'm willing to bet will be the best informational and educational resource for blockchain, crypto, Web3 on the internet, bar none, especially in terms of the raw information. Now, there are other resources. Andreessen Horowitz, for example, they have a very good blog. There's lots of good blogs out there. Sorry about that, very loud car in the background. Anyway, there's lots of good blogs out there, but they give their opinion, and their opinions are good, but they give their opinion. They don't actually give you an education in what the important aspects, what is the real wisdom and the real knowledge of the craft of working in blockchain, because it's quite complicated. If you were to sit in on a chat that me and, let's say, Diego were having with a potential project that would be launching on Seedling, you would hear a bunch of jargon and a bunch of discussion around things that are supposedly, you know, fait accompli or just obvious, that you may have never heard about before. We get a lot of questions every day in the chat, just about more general topics that if you work in the industry, you know about because you've just had to learn it at some point, hopefully not the hard way. We are going to take away, demystify all of these things, and we're going to have a huge amount of information in the Cherry Labs University, the learn.cherrylabs.org. And this is how it's going to work. Within learn.cherrylabs.org, we will have, to begin with, 2, and then we'll expand it to 4, and then possibly a couple more. We're not sure if we'll call them subjects or faculties or departments, but basically you will have one about launchpads. You will have one about blockchain in general. You will have one about entrepreneurship and venture capital in the blockchain space, and that will be tied to Cherry Labs. So the launchpad one will be tied to Seedling. We might have one about new media or whatever, and that will be tied to Cherish. Within each of these faculties, so to speak, we will have a number of courses, which will in fact operate like modules you might take in university. Obviously, they won't be quite as long as a module that you might take in a university, but certainly there would be, each one would take easily a day to do, a full day's work maybe, and then there will be a quiz or a test at the end. We will hope to launch, I can tell you exactly what we're going to launch. We're going to launch 3 courses under Seedling, and Seedling is the Launchpads faculty, and 3 courses under Cherry being the blockchain faculty, within the next 10 days or so, I hope, maybe even sooner. And each course will probably have 5 to 8 lessons and then a quiz at the end. And we're working with Paul, who is our content expert, our lead writer, and he's been working very hard with Diego and also myself to a lesser extent on getting the content really, really sharp. And we're actually bringing in more writers to get this done as quickly as possible. We're going to expand this really, really quickly, and it's going to be, I think it's going to be something that the Cherry project and ultimately is known for. We're very close to launching it, so we can say it now publicly. If our competitors want to try and do something better, they can, but they're not going to be able to because we've got first mover advantage on this, basically. There are other kind of similar initiatives, but they're not as expansive or as in depth or as digestible as what we're building. I know I'm talking it up a lot, but yeah, I think that this is going to be very unique. Sorry, as I forgot to mention earlier, the other problem with what's existing out there at the moment is that a lot of it's delivered by salespeople who want you to pay for courses. We are not going to charge a penny for this. In fact, I had a conversation an hour and a half, 2.5 hours ago with one of our marketing partners. They're one of our best marketing partners, and they've developed a tool which basically gamifies. It's like a Gleam. It's like Gleam, like Gleam competitions. It's like that, except you gamify learning and carrying out tasks and community engagement and stuff like that. It's very, very easy to sign up to. So basically you would sign up with your email. It's all done through email. And then you would, for going through lessons, then you might earn some tokens or points or whatever. If you go through, if you engage with the community, the discussion forum, whatever, Discord, you get more tokens. If you do a quiz correctly, then you get more tokens or whatever it is. I'm not saying we're going to give out a bunch of tokens because that's not good for the project to just be giving away free money for people to read our blogs. But first of all, it'll be free. And in some cases, you might actually be able to earn some goodies or whatever, or at least some points, at least some clout for having done so. Maybe access to certain things, whatever. It's going to be awesome. You're really going to enjoy it. And I'm really looking forward to sharing it with you. This is the kind of marketing that during a downturn, people really value because it's inbound marketing. It's stuff that if people aren't going out there and Googling, hey, what cryptocurrency should I invest in now? They're not doing that because nobody wants to invest in cryptocurrencies really at the moment, at least not new investors. But what they are looking at is, how could I get a job in crypto? Or how could I get a job? Or what do I need to know? People are more cautious. So we think that this is going to be really, really awesome. And I'm looking forward to sharing it with you guys. And also, people should DM me if they want to kind of help beta test this platform. Just read through it and give us some feedback. We don't want to just post the articles and ask everybody for feedback. We want to just have it more targeted. So DM me please if you want to get involved. I've been talking about that for way too long. I hope you share my excitement. We are putting a lot of our energy and intellect into it, and so far it's looking very, very good. Now we move on to Marvin. Marvin, please jump in.
Sure thing. Hey guys, good to be talking to you again through Twitch. I think this connection is going to be a bit better than last time, although last week was a lot of fun in the event. As Herman said, we had a really great conversation a couple hours ago, and we really solidified some of the things we want to do with Cherish. I know a lot of you guys are waiting for the Cherish launch, and this is we really want to launch Cherish. We want to get it out there and you guys to try it out, but we feel like it's a better decision and a better strategic way to launch Cherish as a more complete and a more whole product than we want to give ourselves a bit more time to actually build you guys something that will blow your minds and be a bit more complete. And when building platforms like these, it's important to get all the framework and the architectures done first, and then focus on more of the front end side. So if, for say, we were to launch a project, if we were to launch right now, we'd have something nice to show you guys, but then it will make our jobs a bit harder in the long run. So we have decided to hold up and give you guys a better product a few weeks from now, which will I'm pretty sure will blow your minds. The things we've been looking at lately are really awesome and really exciting, and we want to position ourselves in this new media landscape. Something we've discussed at length, how the media landscape is looking right now, social media landscape, and we've really found a perfect fit, and we're working around that to build something that is appropriate for the time, appropriate for the people who want to build on Cherish and work with Cherish and post on Cherish. So that's really excited for us. So get ready gear up in a couple of weeks for a bigger launch than expected, a more complete launch, and a more streamlined launch. This said, we've also been expanding the Cherish team even more to make sure that we are capable to fulfill our promises. And I think we're doing a good job at making our team whole and ready to kick off something great, because Cherish is not a one-time thing. It's something that will be growing over years and years to come. But as I said, the architecture and the foundation really is there already, and we've done a really good job at that, the way that's been integrated with the Cherry network, mainnet and the parachains. It's looking really good, and we've actually been surprised at how good it's looking. I think we've just lost connection for a second. Yeah, I think we're back. Yeah, it's really good at the way that it's been looking. So we've been expanding, the framework is there, the architecture is all there. So now we have to make some more choices and decisions, which will in the end impact the platform. But I think you guys will be very happy to see our results in some time. So other than that, have a look out for more onboarded creators every day. We're still talking to creators. That has not stopped. And making sure that the world knows about Cherish, and we get enough feedback as well, because this project is it's not just for the crypto community, it's not just for the legacy or the conventional media, it's for everybody, and we need everybody's input to make this stuff really work. So with that said, I'll give you to Diego, whom I heard has a pretty exciting announcement to make.
Yeah, hello guys. I hope you're all safe and have the AC on for these hot days. Getting into the interesting stuff, I guess you have all seen the news released a couple of minutes ago. Loved the support in the last hours. Spanish chat is on fire. Some of the most loyal seedlers even knew about it yesterday or earlier on, as they saw the update on the website. First of all, I would like to thank all the community for being so supportive during these tough times. We definitely want to make Seedling a very active platform. As mentioned on previous AMAs, we have been working on a lot of things for the last months. We've been standardizing certain procedures internally and also working on certain added value features for you guys, which after all are, well, the reason why we're working so hard. So 2 projects, guys. I will not go into detail into each of them because that will take up most of your Wednesday, and they both have so many things to talk about that it's not worth it. But what we'll do instead is we will share a new due diligence analysis from now on. Actually, it's called Seedling analysis, which you can already see in the website or will be pushed in the upcoming hours or days. This is a document created by the analysts at Seedling, which will give a deeper understanding and some key insights on why we have decided to list these projects, and even in some cases, some key information that have been shared with us for you guys. So this document, I think we are one of the unique launchpads to do this, although I'm not sure. Please treat this document as a summary of all the key points, but do not rely on this uniquely to take a decision. As always, we recommend to do your own research before investing, which leads me to the next topic mentioned by Owen earlier, which is our Learn University section, where we are working with Cherry Labs. We will be developing a section with courses uniquely on Launchpads, as he said. We'll both have an easy beginner's guide to Launchpads and some other advanced course, which will include some information that actually I haven't seen that available online. and is mostly accessible to people that are professionally working in the space, but not from the investor side. So just like Owen mentioned, just to get a bit of depth as an example for this last thing, stuff like SAFTs, market makers, maybe protection policies, which are things that are very relevant to the space, but not many people talk about. So I think that's very cool. Finishing off with the project side, I wanted to let the community know that we are very committed to actively list projects on a more active matter. We are in touch with many projects on a daily basis, but we won't risk our reputation by listing weaker projects just to remain active, okay? So that's pretty much it. Well, actually, let me answer a question I have just read on the Seedling chat, which I must answer or I will faint. So Ki Kai is asking, asked during the AMA on the Seedling chat about the TGE having a long TGE date. Guys, we need to understand the macroeconomic point in which we are sitting in currently. Strategically speaking, some projects will not risk their project they have been working on for a long time by launching on a not perfect moment. I'm sure many projects can perfectly launch now, but might have a handicap. So my question is, would you rather use your money in an investment that is less risky due to external factors to the market, or are you just gambling? The idea here is to reduce the risk the maximum possible, and that's why the launch pads do this due diligence, right? So also, guys, remember that we are flexible in launching projects of other rounds. So not only the latest rounds, like most launch pads, but getting on cheaper, earlier rounds too. So obviously getting into earlier rounds with better conditions regarding the price means that they will still need to fundraise their next rounds, since the procedure of fundraising goes in order, seed, private, public. So yeah, therefore it takes some time for the fundraising to do the actual launch. Yeah, that's all. Sorry for talking for too long. Yeah, thank you, guys.
Oh, sorry, I was muted there. Thank you, Diego. That was great. We're going to take about 2 minutes to just get our questions in order for the quiz. It's a five question quiz today. Otherwise, there's a couple of other things that I wanted to touch on. We are, as I mentioned before, we are putting what is essentially the finishing touches on our latest marketing initiative, which you have started to see traces of already in terms of the increased activity in our community development and promotion, our university initiative, our partnerships, one of which is very big and should be announced quickly, pretty soon, I hope. And also in terms of our outreach to prominent members of the cryptocurrency and blockchain and investing space who will, in the short term, recommence their efforts to evangelize the purpose and value of Cherry. So people had asked me about that, and there is an answer that is comprehensive, but also as much as I can say. I hope at this point our community understands that we can't just like start telling you exactly everything that we have planned and who we're in talks with and all the rest. That goes for exchanges as well, which yes, we are working on. But I have to say this every week because people often doubt us, and then weeks later we have this nice media, or we have these nice some exchange listings, or we have some nice buzz about us in the influencer sphere. So we always end up delivering, but then in the meantime people are just complaining. There's no need for it. We know what we have to do. We have to be cognizant of our budget and what our priorities are, and we have to take account of the market situation in which the project finds itself. I say this every week, but I have to say it again. In terms of community atmosphere and stuff, I always appreciate the fact that people can give constructive feedback, constructive criticism at times, as long as it doesn't veer into nastiness. As always, nastiness towards me or the team members, I'll warn you and say, please don't do that again. Nastiness or anything that wastes the rest of the community's time, or any nastiness towards members of the community, or any nastiness that like deliberately devalues the investment value of what the community have put into it, we have zero tolerance for. You know, you can waste my time to a certain extent. You can say nasty things about me. I'm fine with that. People, because I'm getting paid, I'm part of the community, or I'm part of the company, and this is my job. So that's what it is. People who, you know, volunteer their consideration and their effort and their time for the community, and are, you know, act in good faith, sincerely. When we have troublemakers coming in, I have absolutely no hesitation just removing you from all the groups. If that happens and you change your tune and you turn over a new leaf and you say, hey, I'm not going to do that in the future, then again, I've no problem readmitting people. But seriously, if you do not be nasty in the groups, don't be nasty to other people, don't waste people's time. We had some behavior from some people there a moment ago, which was just unacceptable. Don't do that. Please try and be cool. Treat the other people in the community as if, you know, friends or people you might meet in a bar or something, and don't be deliberately annoying, because it's just not cool. You might get away with it on the internet, but, you know, most of you are grown men and women, and, you know, it's just not cool to behave like that. So please, let's keep everything positive, especially be considerate of your other community members. We have a lot of good initiatives coming up. We have a lot of influencers will be talking about us. We have a lot of interesting ways for you to kind of win things and earn things and all the rest. We have merch coming out. We have Unigate and Cherish launching. We have a whole host of things. We've got a couple of big partnerships that's going to be announced. We're doing, and the community is doing, absolutely as best as could be imagined, given the state of the markets, particularly for altcoins. So please bear with us, and we appreciate your patience as always, and your continued positive energy. It really does help the team along, and it helps us to do our work. Okay, I've talked too much again. So what I'm going to do is, you're going to have to bear with me now a second. I'm going to get the questions ready. I have to copy and paste them in from a Notion document, so it's going to take me a bit longer than usual. I will ask John, please, to freeze the chat, and I will start asking the questions now in a second. Nope, stream, cut it. Okay, thank you all very much. Thank you, Diego. Very positive things happen in Seedling. Really cool, actually. Cherish as well is looking good. Unigate, we're going to have someone on sooner rather than later in the AMA. And we're going to try and bring in special guests every week from now on, or maybe from the week after next from now on. Whether they're within the project or outside the project, just someone to talk for 10 minutes would be fun. We'll see how it goes. Thank you as always to Herman. Thank you to Lupiter, who does a huge amount of work behind the scenes. John as well, and Paul, and Marvin. I already thanked you, and especially thank you to all the community members. Thank you to Danny, Fantic. I'm going to start forgetting people. Sandra, gracias. Who else am I forgetting? Bobby, of course. Who? Okay. So I'm just gonna. Okay, whatever. Anyway, thank you all, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye bye.